I will reconvene the Historical Landmarks Commission meeting of October 24th. The next item on the agenda is item number 8, 900 Channel Drive. This is a proposal for installation of new wireless communications facility consisting of a 9-panel cellular antenna and a 700 square foot walled enclosure. This was last reviewed on October 10th. It's the 4th concept review, comments only. The project requires environmental assessment, Planning Commission review, and findings of no visual impact. The comments from the October 10th were that the Commission prefers the monopole painted green at 50 feet with no exposed antenna, lower the height of the overall wall by eliminating the 2-foot plinth, study the wall capitals and breakups so that they are more traditional, eliminate the stair, provide details, and there should be a condition for removal of the pole as technology eventually makes it obsolete. Welcome. Please introduce yourself for the record and give us a brief presentation.
Okay, good early evening. My name is Tricia Knight. I'm representing Verizon Wireless. So I'm just going to go through one by one sort of the comments from last time. A vote was taken. Some of you were here and some of you were not, and we came to the conclusion that this design here, thank you, with a 50-foot slimline pole with all of the antennas enclosed inside of the 4 different options that we had presented was the preferred design. I'm just going to sort of go through here real quick just to show you the different vantage points and painted green here and here. So I'm going to go through the plans just to verify that design here. So,
Specifically talk about the enclosure.
yes, absolutely. So just coming up here on the pole itself, as discussed, is a 50-foot diameter, or 50-foot height, 36-inch diameter pole painted green. We looked at the design district guidelines for walls and decided we thought this would be the best option. And so we've mimicked that by breaking it up in various elevations as is shown in the attached photo. These are actually insets with wrought iron, as you can see in the attached photo. I'll go ahead and flip one more over. Previously we had done in our business, there's an option to do what we call a cell block, which is a foundation, a 2-foot foundation that just gets plopped down. It's for ease of construction. But what that does is that adds 2 feet to the overall height of the equipment area, which would have brought our wall up to 8 feet. And it was requested that we take that down with a regular 18-inch foundation, remove the stairs, bringing the wall height down to 6 feet. So that's what we have done. There was originally here a cell block foundation that's no longer there. This will just be the standard 18-inch foundation. The wall height will be at 6 feet. There's no stair. There will just be a small ramp going in. It should be noted, however, all of this will not be visible due to the existing landscaping on site. This was more, I believe, in the effort that in the event that landscaping was to go away for any reason, if that parcel was to ever be developed, if there was, God forbid, a fire, that there would be something there to look at and not just be some chain link fence or something that has nothing to do with the design guidelines for that district. So let's see. Got the wall. The condition of approval eliminated the stair. Height of the overall wall came down, and the 50-foot height.
Okay.
So.
All right. I'll open public comment. Seeing no public comment, I'll close public comment and bring it to the Commission for questions. Commissioner Rios.
In your studies for other locations, did you examine the possibility of co-locations to other sites that have poles of other companies?
There's really none in the immediate vicinity. Last time, and I can pull out the map, but there's not downtown, but southern Montecito, from the downtown area, there's a building that currently houses a lot of the antennas. Unfortunately, there's not enough room because of the parking and the equipment that we have to take up actual space. There was nothing inside the building or any parking that we could take up at that. It's pretty impacted. There's about 3 other carriers on that building. So there really is no other facility in this immediate vicinity, hence the need for.
Are you planning on allowing other firms to co-locate on this site?
If it's technically feasible, there, like I said, it sounds like most of the carriers are in that one area of downtown Montecito. There is one last carrier that is fairly new to our area called Metro PCS. I don't know if anyone's heard of them, but they have smaller antennas and sort of have a smaller frequency that they operate on. Theoretically, they could locate below us at the bottom here, just due to the technical nature.
If you did have additional companies, would the antennas still be enclosed within the existing pole?
That would, I don't think anything else would be approved. They'd have to come before you, just as I have, for approval in order to do that. So I don't. We would engineer the pole to accommodate a carrier, and I believe they would be just asked to do the same.
Okay, my last comment is, would you make some comments about how you intend to graffiti-proof this area?
A very good question. We had talked about that, and going that we're going to put all this effort, if you don't mind me going back here to this wall. There was a previous commissioner that had actually pulled me aside last week and talked about that, and evidently there is a surface that and I want to say that she said it was slate, is that right? Or there's something that can be added to the outside of a wall to make it somewhat graffiti-proof, and I
think it's most likely a type of paint.
Is it? Okay.
That's a high gloss.
Okay.
Which makes it easier to take off.
And so this is not readily accessible to the public, but I know kids who are bored and want something to do, if there's a surface, they're going to find it. So we're open to that condition if that's something the board would like to add, or that's entirely up to you.
Any other questions, Commissioner? Yes.
No, I'll have comments later on.
Commissioner Avoy, any questions?
I just want, what color is the wall?
This color, I'm not quite sure. I was hoping right now, assuming that I get through this stage, I have to go to Planning Commission. I was hoping to get a more detailed, specific color during the final portion when I have to come back to you.
You're thinking terracotta?
I'm thinking, yes. That's what, sticking with the design guideline, yes.
Okay, thank you. No other questions?
Commissioner Sharp?
Yes, what is the purpose, if there is one, of the penetrations in the wall with the wrought iron
It's just
grill?
a design feature that was in the guidelines for this district originally. For our purposes, the only time we ever need anything around our equipment is more for security. But obviously, our fence is not going to, it was a chain link when I originally came before you. And so they asked us to look at the design guidelines. Out of everything that I looked at, this just seemed to be something that works for us and also seems to capture that. So that's the only reason we
It's not for ventilation, cross ventilation, it's not for...
Aesthetics only.
It's only good for grabbing and vaulting yourself over the wall with.
Could be.
That's all.
Okay.
Commissioner Boucher?
I have no question.
Commissioner Winnick?
No questions, thanks.
A quick question on the elevation on A5. The southwest, or we'll call it the elevation 1 and 2. How tall is this equipment here?
It's approximately 6.5 feet tall, so it's going to peak. You're going to see this little teeny edge coming across. Because it's got 8. Well, let's see. No, that's not true. 8. It's 6.5 feet tall. Plus, so 7.5 feet. Because I've got 18 inches of pad, and then I've got 6.5 of cabinet. So it is going to be shorter, or a little bit taller than the wall.
I don't think we realized that when we asked you to lower the wall.
Right.
Okay. Comments, Commissioner Arias?
I strongly feel that we should send a message to the Planning Commission that any further companies located on this pole should come through with all due processes to the city. Because we don't know how long this is going to be here, and we know that if you look at the history of these poles, they have increased all over town, so, and companies have. So I would strongly recommend that this pole that the Planning Commission restrict this pole to this one thing, and that also all antennas have to be enclosed within the pole. as far as graffiti proofing, it varies. You put on stuff like Goof Off or things like that, and then any product that they put on which makes graffiti easier comes off with a Goof Off, and then you have problems if they re-tag it. So I think you need to have, I think there needs to be a policy of maintenance on your part for removal of any graffiti that is on that site.
Okay.
As far as co-location, I understand what you're saying, but I would like to see if other companies come into this area and you could co-locate to them to remove this pole. That would be an advantage. I would like to get this out of here if at all possible. But that depends upon what other companies do and things like that, and I understand. But that's my comments.
Mr. Chair,
Just a minute, please.
I did have a question.
Yes.
You mentioned that other companies might have smaller antennas. You can't make this one smaller?
The reason that they're smaller is AT&T and Verizon are I imagine probably anyone who has a cell phone in this room probably has one of those, if I'm betting. So they have the most users. And so it's literally just like traffic on a highway.
I
Metro
understand.
PCS kind of caters to the college students, more to the Goleta, Isla Vista area. So they're able to use the smaller antennas.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Lavoie, comments.
Thank you. I missed the last meeting, but I see that the comments made in the minutes were addressed. In forwarding this to the Planning Commission, I think this commission needs to express its desire that this not be a faux tree, and the applicant has pursued a design in its simplicity to minimize the impacts of the installation. The installation needs to be conditioned that there be no external antennas added at any time to this tower. I would suggest that we increase the wall height to conceal the equipment behind it. And actually, a very simple flat top wall would just be fine. Just keep it simple. I know you heard something else before, but it's concealed by landscaping. And the same with the piercing in the wall, if it's not required for ventilation, that again, to simplify it and just make it a plain, simple wall. And as far as graffiti goes, I'm dismayed to see that Caltrans has been unable to keep the graffiti off of the new walls that were put through Montecito, nor have they been able to match the paint very well. Planting a vine with
Poison
lots
oak.
of thorns on it.
Poison oak.
Does that work? Do we know?
Ocotillo, it's a deterrent. There's bougainvillea does more to discourage anyone from painting on the surface than anything else will. And look pretty good, actually, if it will grow in that location.
Just knowing we'd have to put a temporary water tank out there just to see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
May I make one comment?
Yes.
I hate to raid on your parade, but they tear the vines off the walls and then paint them.
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Sharp, please.
I would agree with increasing the wall height. I think that's important. And I do not see, as you know, any reason for the penetrations at all. It's just more expense and maintenance down the road. I think the vines are a very good idea. And I'm particularly concerned that the color be the right green and a very matte finish. And we will tackle that later, but this can be very successful or not successful at all, depending on one little shade of green.
What's that green that you guys mentioned last time, and I tried to get?
Malaga green.
That one.
That's
is-
not the appropriate
that's
green.
not
That's
the
not,
one.
that's too
Okay,
dark.
that's too
This
dark,
has to
okay.
be much mossier, but
Okay.
not a lot mossier, but anyway.
I'll bring in color samples.
All right. And it concerns me a little that two of the members that voted against the column are not here today, and three of us are here today that may reverse that action, but it was a straw vote.
Yeah.
But I guess that's the way cookie crumbles, and that's not much can be done about that. But we have to be really careful to make sure we're here at every meeting, if possible.
Here, here.
You didn't want me here.
Commissioner Boucher.
I have nothing to add.
Okay. Commissioner Winnick.
I concur with both Commissioner Lavoie and Commissioner Sharp. I'm in favor
I do too.
of the solution.
Okay. So, actually, I think everything I wanted to say was said. Let me summarize the comments and see if we can get a motion.
This is comments only.
Oh,
Comments
It would
only.
be comments that everybody would agree on.
okay.
before
So,
to the
not a
vote.
motion, but we can. Yeah, okay. All right. So, the HLC wants to make it clear to the Planning Commission that any future company that wishes to co-locate needs to come to the HLC for review. All antennae need to be enclosed in the pole. Graffiti-proof the wall to the extent possible. A vine may be the best graffiti solution.
Who could be a...
However, I did stop comments, okay? I did have a comment. So there's no irrigation at this site.
There is not.
So you would have to have a water tank
Temporary water tank for probably, I'd say, a good year and a half.
to establish. I would
Yeah.
suggest a clinging vine myself,
Okay,
but,
okay.
you know, like a creeping fig or something,
Okay.
and you're going to have that there for at least a year and a half.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's what the commission really wants to see out there, is a temporary water tank.
Can it fit inside the wall?
Probably not.
It'd be, yeah.
There's
probably.
no holes to run the hose through anymore.
See what you did.
Commissioner
Unless it's under the
Lavoie.
gate.
Does the landscape architect, does it's necessary, even though there's existing plant material that seems to be thriving without irrigation, just
Yeah.
to get it established?
To get the vine, any sort of vine to establish
I think
itself.
it's worth
Yeah.
a year and a half of a...
So, okay.
behind
So,
the scenes would be fine.
begin comments then. A vine on the wall may be the best graffiti solution. The Historic Landmarks Commission realizes that any new planting would need a temporary water tank. The applicant shall implement a maintenance program for graffiti removal during vine establishment. In the future, if a new pole allows this pole to co-locate, then this pole shall be removed. A faux tree is not acceptable. The HLC has determined that the monopole is the least obtrusive. Increase the height of the wall to screen the equipment enclosed. Eliminate the fenestration on the wall. And the color of the pole and wall will require HLC review. Did I get everything?
Did you remove the fenestrations on the wall?
Yes, eliminate the fenestration on the wall.
One additional comment, Mr. Chair. that artificial vines are not acceptable. I've seen,
Come on, that would solve all the problems.
I can't remember where they are along the freeway, but I
There are
passed
some,
them and
I've seen
I,
them, yeah. Oh, yeah, so yeah, they have fake vines, yeah.
Okay, so please add that a faux tree or fake vines are not
No
acceptable.
artificial anything.
Also, I am concerned of the junction of the antenna and the pole, that it be as perfectly flush,
Oh, yes.
which
No.
it can be.
No, it's interior. You don't see it at all.
They're
Yeah.
Okay.
I know what you're talking about. Sometimes they're at the top and
Usually-
they're larger than this that's below them. Yes, that won't happen.
Okay, I
Yeah.
didn't.
Picture big flagpole.
I also missed last week.
Okay, so those are our comments.
make a motion for indefinite continuance with the comments to go to the planning commission.
Second,
Motion by Lavoy, second by Sharp. All in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. You understand the motion?
I do.
Great.
Great.
You're on your way.
So after planning commission is when I come back here for the colors and everything.
Colors and
Okay, got
and
it.
the taller wall, and
Okay.
all of these comments.
All those comments.
Yeah.
Got it.
We'll be coming in for project design approval, final approval.
Final approval.
After
Yay.
planning.
You done with this?
Still got a long road, but we're getting there. Okay.
You done with this?
I just need one set, Tricia.
Sure.
Thank you. And you can
Yes.
take
Thank you.
The other
I don't know
two.
if you want that or not. That
Huh?
was from your meeting earlier
Yeah.
today.
Yeah. We are adjourned.